We all think we know the past tense, right? It's for things that happened, well, in the past. Seems simple enough. But what if I told you it has these secret powers, that we use it every single day for things like being polite, showing you're annoyed, or even talking about stuff that's completely imaginary? Today, we're going to unlock all the hidden social and emotional meanings packed inside English grammar. So, here's our game plan. We'll start with a common puzzle that might make you scratch your head a bit. Then, we'll get the key to solving it, understanding the difference between tense and aspect. After that, we'll unlock the advanced uses of 3 key past tenses, put them head to head, and finally, we'll talk about why all this little stuff, this nuance, actually matters in the real world. All right, let's dive right in with section 1, past tense puzzles. We're going to kick things off with a little grammatical mystery that you've probably heard and maybe even said yourself 1,000 times without even thinking about it. Think about this sentence. I wanted to ask you something. Now, the person is asking right now, in this very moment. So why on earth are they using a past tense verb like wanted? It feels kind of weird, but it's not a mistake. It's actually a really clever communication strategy. So what's going on here? Why are we reaching back in time to talk about the present? This is the central puzzle we need to solve. And to do that, we have to get our heads around a core grammar concept that might just change the way you see the past tense forever. And that brings us to this crucial distinction, tense versus aspect. Honestly, understanding this is like having the secret decoder ring for all of English grammar. Okay, so here's the breakdown, and it's actually pretty simple. Tense just tells you when something happens, past, present, or future. It's just a pin on a timeline. But aspect tells you how that action unfolds. Is it a one-and-done event? Is it ongoing? Is it something that happens over and over? Aspect is what gives time its texture. Take a look at this timeline. The line itself, that represents tense. It just locates things in the past, present, or future. But you see those arrows and points on the line? That's aspect. So, for example, they had claimed is an action that was finished before another thing happened in the past. They are claiming is happening right now and it has some duration. This little difference is what gives these tenses their secret powers. So, with that foundation, we can finally start unlocking these past tenses. I want you to think of each tense not just as a rule you have to memorize, but as a specialized tool in your communication kit. And each one has some really cool advanced features. First up, the good old past simple. We all know it for completed actions, right? I ate breakfast. Done. But its advanced function is way more subtle. It's your go-to tool for being polite and for talking about hypotheticals. Here's the trick. The past simple creates a little bit of distance. By shifting a request into this sort of imaginary past, it feels way less direct and therefore more polite. And that same feeling of distance is also how we signal that we're talking about something that isn't real, a hypothetical situation happening right now. For instance, saying, I thought we agreed is so much softer than we agreed. It turns a direct statement into a gentle reminder. And then you have, it's time we left. It uses the past tense for something that's happening now, but it's still unreal. We haven't actually left yet, but we should. It's a subtle tool, but it's super powerful. Okay, next up is the past continuous. That's your was or were plus the ing form. Its secret power is all about emotion. And it's kind of a chameleon because it can be used to show both extreme irritation and extreme politeness. So, how can one tense do both of those things? Well, it's all about context. The past continuous focuses on an action that was ongoing. If you emphasize that an annoying action was always ongoing, it signals total irritation. But if you frame a request you have now as something you were just thinking about, it suddenly becomes incredibly polite and tentative. So when you say he was always interrupting me, you can almost hear the frustration, right? The ongoing nature just emphasizes that annoying habit. But then, I was wondering. That's a classic polite request. You're framing your current wish as a past, ongoing thought, which makes it incredibly indirect and gentle. And finally, we have the past perfect, the had tense. Its basic job is to talk about an action that happened before another past action. But its advanced uses are all about logic and emotion. It's your tool for expressing regret and for making deductions. Because the past perfect looks even further back in time, it's the perfect way to talk about what should have happened but didn't. And that's the very definition of regret. It also lets you play detective and speculate about what must have happened to cause a situation later on. You can just feel the disappointment in "I had hoped." It shows an expectation from the deep past that just wasn't met. And "she had been crying" is pure deduction. You have the evidence in the past, her eyes were red, and the past perfect continuous explains the cause that came before it. Okay, so we've seen their secret powers. Now it's time to put them in the ring. 4. The Great Tense-Off. This is where we tackle the most common points of confusion for English learners, and let's be honest, native speakers too. First up, past perfect versus past simple. This timeline makes it super clear. The past perfect, "she had left," firmly places that action at time 1, before the past simple action, "he arrived," which is at time 2. Using the past perfect is all about establishing a crystal clear sequence of events in the past. What happened first? That's your past perfect. All right, next up, the big one. Present perfect versus past simple. The key here boils down to one simple question. Does the action have a connection to now? If it has a result that affects the present, or if it happened in an unfinished time frame, like this week, you use the present perfect. If it's a totally finished action in a finished time, like yesterday, with no connection to now, it's past simple. That connection to the present is everything. So, all of this leads to a much bigger question. Why does any of this nuance actually matter? Well, because grammar isn't just a bunch of dusty old rules in a textbook. It's a living, breathing system that shapes how we communicate and even reflects our culture. Check this out. This is a perfect snapshot of grammar in action. For something that just happened, British English often goes for the present perfect, which really emphasizes that connection to right now. American English, on the other hand, often just defaults to the past simple. Neither one is wrong, they're just different cultural preferences for saying the same thing. So at the end of the day, learning these advanced uses isn't really about being correct or passing a test. It's about getting access to a richer, more powerful toolkit. It's about being able to express yourself with more precision, with more emotional nuance, and ultimately, just becoming a more effective and compelling communicator. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Language is always changing. It's never static. The whole American preference for the past simple proves that. So my question for you is this. As English keeps evolving, which rule or distinction that we've talked about today do you think is going to be the next to get blurry, or maybe even change completely? It's definitely something to think about.